Hey everybody, happy Friday! I am going live today on Mountain Time. I had a conflict at 1 Central Time, so I'm going live now. Alright, so welcome to this week's training. I am happy to be here. I don't know where you are in the country, but I am here in my summer glory because it is like 95 degrees here. Has been for a while, so it's warm. Alright, so in today's training, I want to talk about what happens when the teacher becomes the student. So I do a lot of coaching on online courses. I've built them, I've coached on them, I've helped people create hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of courses. And every so often, I actually take an online course as a student. And I want to share with you a particular situation that I'm in right now where I became the student, and I have some advice for this company that that could enhance their learner's experience. So I wanted to share that with you today. Maybe, who knows, I'll send this video to them. But here's the thing, is that their front end funnel, right, the thing that they use to bring people in is one of the best I've ever seen. So they have done a phenomenal job of laying out the problem or pain that their ideal avatar has, and then helping them really come up with their own answers as to how their solution will fix the problem that that avatar has. So hands down, best front-end funnel I've ever seen. However, what happens is most of the time, well, not most of the time, some of the time, what happens is people who are really good at sales and marketing tend to not be so good in fulfillment. And this is an example of that. And there are 3 kind of tweaks that they could make that would change their whole learner's experience, their whole fulfillment process, to really have it match that front-end sales funnel that they have and elevate the success that they have, and my guess is their customer service complaints and return rates for purchasing their particular program. So I want to share those with you today as our course building tip for today, for our Friday training, is really looking at when you are, first of all, when you are doing courses, when you're teaching, when you're creating courses, one of the best things that you can do is to go and purchase a couple of courses so you can kind of see what other people are doing. Not to copy it, not necessarily to model what they're doing, but to really see from your expertise whether or not there are things that you're sort of hitting against, right? So for me, one of the things that I talk about all the time, and you have heard me talk about this if you've listened to anything that I've done, is you need to have a clear path, right? You need to have a clear results path for your people. You need to know where you're taking them and how to quickly get them to that place, right? So there's steps along the way, and each step takes them closer to getting to that result. So I know very clearly that that's foundationally one of the things that I teach. So when I take additional courses, if I want to learn something, that's the lens I'm looking at it through. And so by signing up for different courses, I get a chance to sort of hit against that, right? What are people doing? Are they doing well with this? Are they having some challenges, and that's why they're having challenges, right? So take your expertise lens, become a student, but really look at what they're doing. Now, I will say that with a caveat, like, don't just like consume a million courses and start getting into that, like just taking a bunch of things to try and learn. What you want to do is take action and apply it to your business as quickly as possible, right? So that will be the difference between kind of taking it, seeing what they're doing, maybe getting some ideas, but really more hitting against what and how you do it, so you can step into that even more. So that's kind of a sidebar, but I think that that's really important. Well, so back to my scenario is that I really am interested in learning the skill that they're teaching. So I'm highly motivated to figure out how it is that they've gotten success themselves and how they've gotten their students to success. So I'm super interested. I really want to see their full path and how to get the results. So here's what happened is I literally talked to one of their sales reps, and he's like, think about it. I'm like, nope, I'm good. Give me the link. I'm in. And so right away I was ready to go, right? I had, taken the time to figure out that this is a program I wanted to be in, and then crickets. Nothing happened. I didn't get a link. I didn't get an email. I didn't get anything for probably about 5 days, and I followed up a couple of different times. This is a high-ticket program, and so there was no immediate follow-up. There's no way for me to immediately jump in and get started and get onboarded into, where am I going to go? How is the program going to work? How do I navigate through this system in order to start seeing how the results are going to start helping me? So that was the first challenge that I ran into, and I thought, well, okay. But here's what that means, is that the systems that they have foundationally are not set up to fulfill on their customers, which means there's probably some additional holes in their business that they haven't plugged yet, right? Maybe they've been focusing on sales and everything else is sort of falling through the cracks. Maybe they're spending more time selling people, getting people in than they are actually getting results, right? So all of a sudden, right away, these thoughts are going through my head of like, well, wait a minute, I just paid for this, where is it? Why am I not getting it? And so that's what's happening with your learners. So here's the thing, if you have a different sales and marketing system than your fulfillment system, right, than your course platform, you need to make sure that they're talking. So that's an automated process, because whenever I sign up, I should automatically get not only a welcome email with kind of here are the next steps, but I should get my login information into the program. If I don't get that, that means that there's some disconnect, and either they're in the background and they're not in the office, and so they have to wait until somebody gets in the office to send me my information, which is not necessarily efficient, nor does it inspire confidence. But worst case scenario is they think that they have it set up, and it's not set up, right? So there's something that's broken. And then, customer complaints go up, customer questions go up. You're spending more time on customer issues than you are on actually helping your people get to results, right? So that's the first challenge that I highly recommend that you look at. So again, when you're looking at setting up your systems, and we talk about this in Learn Academy, and when you're setting up your systems, you need to make sure that it's a seamless experience for your person. So they purchase and they immediately get the next steps. They could purchase at 9 a.m. or at midnight. It doesn't matter each time they get the steps. So you've got to have that dialed in. That's super easy to automate, even if you're using different tools. So it's very obvious in this situation that they have one tool, one system for their sales and marketing, and one for their course fulfillment, and they're not talking to each other. And that's a very easy problem to solve, which would really essentially give them hours back and give them learners confidence, and probably reduce their refund rate, would be my guess. So that's the first thing. So really think about that as you're putting together, what systems am I using and how do I match these all together? Because again, when you're looking at that experience, it's so important for it to all be seamless. So that's the first thing. The second thing is I finally got my login information. I was super excited, right? So one of the things I talk about is, when somebody starts, they're super excited, they're super jazzed up, they're motivated, they've got all the tools, they've got their pen and paper, they're ready to go. That was me. I was all ready to go. And I started to get into the training, and the first maybe 5 modules was really just a repeat of all of their sales presentations they've ever done. And there was no clear path for like, here's how you're going to get to the goal. Here's the path to get there. It was just one kind of sales presentation after the other. And then I went through all of that because I didn't want to miss anything. And then I got to where I thought the start of the path was. And I was like, great, now we're here. Now I'm going to get some of the momentum of here's how I'm going to do it, right? Here are the steps. Here are the actual, step-by-step implementation steps to get going. And again, it was another whole kind of big module on information, background information, concepts, different things that may or may not be important foundationally for me to have under my belt to get started, but still no clear path to how I'm going to actually do this. So at this point, I'm about 10 hours in, give or take, and I still don't have any sense of how I'm going to go through this process. So that brings me to my second tip, which is, here's the thing, is you need to lay out the full path to how I get to results before you start teaching it. Right? So when somebody first comes in, you want to say, here's how you're going to go through this. Here's how you're going to win, right? Here's how you're going to get to the top of the mountain. You're going to do it by taking these steps. This is how you do it. Now let's get in and actually do it, right? So you have to give them the big picture. Imagine if you're like trying to climb Mount Everest or whatever, and they're like, yep, just follow us. We'll go, right? No, you want to know what's going to happen at each different sense of elevation before you go, so you can prepare, so you can start thinking about how all the pieces fit together, and then start working towards that result. So this concept is really important, because so often when people are teaching, they think that information or knowledge actually is the value that they're providing, and that's a false assumption. What the value is that you're able to get them the result that they want as fast as possible, which means putting them in a place where they're able to not only know what the path is, but be able to execute on it as you're going. The information or knowledge supports it, but it's not the thing that somebody needs, right? So if I give you information without attaching it to some sort of action or meaning, it's just information, right? You can go look at that up on Google. So here's the thing. So I shouldn't be 10 hours into this full program before I know, and I still actually haven't gone back in to try and get to what hour am I going to get to before I find out what the path is, right? Before I find out how I win. I don't know yet. And I'm highly motivated to learn this. I know these guys, I trust these guys, but there's no path, right? Like, I still have no idea. And so give that to them first, then they will take the time to go through everything, because you've given them the path. They know how these 10 hours are going to fit into the bigger picture because you have told them, right? And so they know that there's meaning to all that information. If I go through these 10 hours and then later on I don't need any of it in order to get on the path, I'm going to be frustrated, right? Because I've just wasted a ton of time when I just want to get to the result. So if I need it, great. I will gladly go through it. But if I don't need it, if it's just fluff in order to fill the course, then that's not valuable, right? So really audit your course if you have one, or as you're thinking about it, really audit, are you giving information or are you attaching it to value and putting people in action as quickly as possible? All right, so that was the second thing. And the third thing is, I really think that, so there's a coaching component to this, and I really think that they are relying on their coaches to provide, for people to jump in and get, like spot checked questions or specific answers to things that they have, which is great, and that's super valuable. But you have to get in the game in order to be able to know what questions to ask on the coaching calls, right? And so if you're doing a coaching component, make sure that you're able to feed them the right questions to start being able to ask those in the coaching sessions. Because here's the thing, like, I would gladly jump on a coaching call right now, but I don't even know what to ask. And my assumption is the people who are already in that coaching call are so far ahead that I wouldn't even know what they're talking about anyway, right? Like, I'm starting at the beginning and trying to learn what I need to get in the conversation. And that's the piece that's most missing right now, to be honest, is how do I get into the conversation? What are the essential things that I need to be able to, know the language and know, again, what that path is. Like, how do I know what the steps are? I can't ask a question if I'm on step 4 and I should be on step 1, or if I'm on step 1 and everyone else is on step 4, right? Like, give me a map, give me a game board so I know where I'm going. And so those are the 3 top things that I would say are critical as you're auditing your course, as you're looking at other people's courses. Really, dial that in. Are you confused when you first start? How far into the course are you before you're like, oh, now I have what I need to get into the game? And how do you know, like, when to jump into a coaching conversation? Do you just sit on the line and just listen? Or how do you know when it's time for you to engage? So really think about that in alignment with kind of this experience that I'm going through, where as a student, there are things that I'm picking up that I will apply and make sure that I'm applying in my courses that I put forward, because I remember what it's like to be a student. I remember what it's like to be a learner who doesn't have all the expertise yet. And that's such a powerful lesson when you are kind of going through this process, is you're not teaching to you, right? You're not teaching to yourself. You're teaching to maybe yourself back when you only were on step 1, or when your knowledge was very small. Right? And so you have to always go back to that student and say, where are they and what do they need to get on the path? And then, of course, what is the path? So hopefully this serves you today, because it's such a great activity to do, especially when you're in kind of that teacher mode, right? Of, I just want to, help people. I want to get them results. It's a great thing to go back and be a learner yourself and remember what it's like to try to be navigating through something that may or may not be super organized, right? So use automation, use a path, a specific path that gets people to results, and then tell them about it. Don't keep it a secret. Tell them what the path is. Here's how you get on the path. Here's what you need in order to get on the path. Like, do this first, and then keep moving forward. So there you go. That is my lesson for you today. I hope that this serves you. I would love to hear your comments when you watch this. How does this resonate to you? Do you see this when you become a student? Do you see this in your own course or your own students? Are you getting these kinds of questions? If you are, it's time to dial it back and really give them that clear path. That's what they're looking for. All right, there you go, my friends. Have a great rest of your Friday.